Hello Internet, in this video we're going to be getting down and dirty with some Dirty Down Rust. In the next couple of days something truly rare is happening, and I am actually getting to play a game of Warhammer 40,000. I almost never actually get to play with these toys that I pour hours of my life into painting, but alas, I have a game coming up, and it's one where I am going to be using 1,000 points of orcs. With that in mind, I wanted to get my orc-themed terrain painted, and I wanted to get it painted quickly. So in this video, I will show you how to use the rust effect by Dirty Down to make some truly awesome grimdark terrain, whilst also giving you some tips on how to avoid the most common mistakes. So let's start simply by asking, what is Dirty Down Rust? Well, it is a water-soluble paint that allows you to simulate atmospheric oxidization of metals. It has been used in the film and television industry for a long while, and in recent years it has made the jump to the miniature painting hobby. I'm going to be showing you how to use it with these orc scrap piles. To begin with, I'm going to leave all the metallics in the black primer colour and only apply a few select base coats to areas where I want to have some colour to break up the sea of metals. The first few times I used this product I couldn't get it to look how I wanted, and after it melted my brain a bit, trying to figure out what was going on, I noticed something. In the online description, the bottles are meant to have a ball bearing inside to agitate the pigment and mix it with the liquid. Upon closer inspection, you can see it has settled at the bottom of my bottle in a thick sludge. To dislodge it, I simply stick the end of a paintbrush in the bottle and give it a good stir. As it is water soluble, you can easily wash your brush afterwards without any staining occurring on the handle. Once you've stirred it all in, you should be able to hear the ball inside, rattling about, and things should run a lot smoother. After giving the bottle a healthy shake, I apply a rather thick layer over all the black areas on the scrap pile. I am using an old beaten up brush for this so that I can really jab into all the recesses. Unlike when using a wash, I really don't care about it pooling in areas, as that will actually deepen the effect. Now, after my many attempts at using this product, I have come to the conclusion that it's beneficial to add some patches of water to the surface to get the rust to behave differently and perhaps more naturally in different areas. To do this, I load my brush with water and jab around on the surface of the model. There's no real method to this, I just go a bit crazy with it. The only rule that I have is that when the rust is on a coloured area, such as this blue section, I should water it down a bit on the surface to ensure the colour still comes through. Once I'm happy with this coverage, I whip out the hairdryer and give it a powerful blast to speed the drying process along. You can absolutely let this dry naturally, but I do feel you get more intense oranges by using a heat source. Once dry, you can see just how good this Dirty Down Rust really is. Not only has it given it a lovely colour that mimics rust in the real world, but it also has a rather dry and dusty texture in the deepest parts, which I personally think is excellent. The final thing I feel I need to do here is to get a rough dry brush and use a dark metallic such as lead belcher and dry brush the whole scrap pile. This helps to bring out all the details of the metallic components whilst keeping the recesses dark and rusty. So, can we push it any further? Well, with how dry a texture it creates, I decided to test something out on one of the other scrap piles. Before doing anything else, I applied some patches of gritty, earthy texture paint to some areas where I believed debris would gather. I thought that maybe adding this extra texture in the early stages would help to create a sense of corrosion. Once it was dry, I covered the areas with black paint and repeated the process that I had used on the other pieces. And I must say, I think that this texture paint makes it look a lot more impressive. This technique is simple, and whilst there was a fair bit of drying time, I think I was only painting for maybe 15 minutes per scrap pile. So this is super quick terrain. Now, one thing I hadn't tried before, but it says that you can do on the bottle, is apply the rust effect with an airbrush. In order to test this out, I quickly painted up a shipping container and due to how liquidy the paint is, I chose not to thin it down and instead spray it through my airbrush as is. I was primarily focusing on the lower half of the container and around the edges of all the panels. I tried to maintain a sense of randomness whilst also applying it to areas that would make logical sense, which is why I used much thicker coats on the bottom of the container as moisture would gather further down. Once again, I used the hairdryer to speed up the drying process, and I have got to say, I really don't like this. The end result through an airbrush is just too flat for me. However, one of the best features of Dirty Down Rust is that due to it being water soluble, you can reactivate it on the surface using water. To do this, I wetted my bashed up brush and jabbed at the edges of the rust patches, making a right mess and spreading it all over the place. You could potentially just spray some water through an airbrush and see how it works as well. I didn't try that, but it could be worth a go. Once this layer had dried, it looked much more natural, so I dry brushed and left it at that. Now I have some more terrain ready for my game next week, and I didn't have to spend much time painting it at all. I hope you found this video useful, thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.